How rare is a perfect game? Let me throw some numbers at you. In the history of Major League Baseball, there have been just over 250,000 games played. In that time, there have been 736 triple plays. 345 batters have hit for the cycle. Dylan Cease, from right here in Milton, Georgia, just recently threw the 324th no-hitter in history. And believe it or not, there have been 223 inside the park grand slams. If you saw my recent video on Sloppy Thurston, there have been 114 immaculate innings. 48 times a runner has stolen second, third, and then home in the same inning. And to the original question, as of right now, there have been 24 perfect games. Some of these 24 perfect games are famous. Don Larson's in the 1956 World Series is probably the most famous. The one I remember the most is Mark Burley's in 2009 for the White Sox. Because of the insane defensive play by Dwayne Wise to save the game, Ozzie Guillen had just put him in for defensive reasons in the top of the ninth.
That ball hit deep into left center field. Wise back, makes the catch! What a play!
Dwayne Wise makes the catch! What a play by Wise! Mercy! A great catch by Dwayne Wise!
But there was a game in 1917 that was in the record books as a perfect game, only to be removed many decades later in 1991. So what happened in 1991? A committee for statistical accuracy led by Faye Vincent reviewed a number of records. One of the more famous decisions was to remove the asterisk from Roger Maris's 61 home run record in 1961. But why did the committee remove the 1917 perfect game? Well, let me share the story with you and see what you think. The pitcher in question, as I'm sure you can guess, was Ernie Shore. Ernie was a right-handed pitcher from North Carolina who played 7 seasons between the New York Giants, the Boston Red Sox, and the New York Yankees. He was a big part of the 1915 and 1916 world champion Red Sox clubs. In 1917, the Red Sox had a killer rotation: Carl Mays, Dutch Leonard, Babe Ruth, and Ernie Shore. On June 23 of 1917, the Red Sox came home from a road trip in New York to face the Washington Nationals in a doubleheader. Dutch Leonard was scheduled to pitch Game 2 with Babe Ruth on the mound in the opener. Ernie took a seat on the bench, relaxed, and ready to watch a full day's worth of baseball, knowing that he had the day off. The game started with the Nationals' second baseman, Ray Morgan, at the plate. Morgan took a questionable ball for the first pitch, which apparently displeased Babe. The second pitch, also called a ball, made Babe even angrier. Never one to bite his tongue, Babe stomped around the mound complaining. Home plate umpire Brick Owens may have been influenced by Babe's whining, but not in the way that Babe intended. Babe was definitely crying to the wrong guy. Let me tell you a little bit about this umpire. Brick came up to the major leagues after umpiring for many years in the minor leagues, where he accumulated so many scars from fights that when he was hired by National League President Harry Pulliam, he was asked if he had been in a train wreck. In one instance, Brick called 3 straight strikes on a batter for Crookston to end a game when the team was mounting a comeback against visiting Winnipeg. The batter dropped his bat, got into a fight with Owens, and a fan jumped from the stands, picked up the bat, and hit Owens over the head. On another occasion, Owens was attacked at his hotel by a player that he had ejected in the day's game. This dude was tough. He got the nickname Brick after a game in Kansas. After an unpopular call, fans began throwing bricks at him from the stands. Bricks. One of the bricks hit Owens in the head, and forever after, he was called Brick. After a 1906 game in which 7 Minneapolis Millers were ejected, Brick was pelted by eggs and cabbages from the fans. A welcome change from Kansas Bricks, but as Owen tried to escape the stadium and make it to his hotel, an angry mob followed him in close pursuit. At the hotel, the mob threatened to attack if he was not turned over. Police had to evacuate him over the rooftops and get him to the railway station. In a 1908 game in Milwaukee, he fought off 50 fans after a controversial game-ending call before being rescued by police. So suffice to say that Babe was not about to curry any favors from the man called Brick. As you might guess, Babe's next 2 pitches were called balls, sending leadoff hitter Morgan to first base. Babe was so incensed, he charged home plate yelling at Brick. Owens ejected Babe, and Ruth snapped. He took a swing at Owens with his left fist and missed. Then he swung again with his right and connected, hitting Brick right in the head by his ear. Statistically, one could say that Babe slugged .500 that day. The melee resulted in both Ruth and catcher Pinch Thomas being ejected. Manager Jack Barry turned to Ernie Shore in the dugout and asked if he could go in while he got somebody else ready. Ernie would only be on 1 day's rest, so he agreed to go out and just buy some time. Allowed only 5 warm-up pitches, Ernie was set to face Eddie Foster. On the first pitch to Foster, Ray Morgan tried to steal second base and was thrown out by catcher Sam Agnew, who had also had to come in cold. 4 pitches later, Ernie was out of the inning. He told manager Barry he felt fine, and Barry sent him to the bullpen to warm up properly and see how long he could go. What followed was a 1 hour and 40-minute masterpiece. Ernie pitched that day to contact, only striking out 2 batters. Lots of ground balls. There wasn't even a fly ball to the outfield until the 6th inning. In most no-hitters, there is usually one defensive gem. In the 5th inning, Charlie Jameson hit a comebacker that bounced off Ernie's shin, but Scott raced over to second for a barehanded grab and threw Jameson out at first. The only other scare came with 2 outs in the 9th. Washington manager Clark Griffith broke an unwritten rule by sending up pinch hitter Mike Manoski and telling him to bunt. I think a lot of so-called unwritten rules are, silly, but not this one. I just don't think with 2 outs in the 9th with a no-hitter, you should be bunting. I don't know. In any event, Manoski was known to be fast, and the bunt was a good one. Pushing just past the mound, second baseman Jack Barry snagged it and threw to first, just ahead of the runner, sending the crowd into a roaring ovation. By Ernie's own account, quote, "I don't believe I threw 75 pitches that whole game if I threw that many. They just kept hitting it right at somebody." In the end, Babe Ruth was suspended for punching Brick Owens by American League President Ban Johnson for 1 week and fined $100. I can't even imagine what the repercussions would be for something like that today. A player punching an umpire in the head, I mean, I don't know. Permanently banned? Maybe. But Ernie and that 1970 Red Sox team would finish in second place, 9 games back of Shoeless Joe Jackson's White Sox. Ernie would be traded after the season to the Yankees, in part for pitcher Ray Caldwell. In a twist of fate, I recorded a fairly extensive video on Ray Caldwell. Ray was struck by lightning while pitching for Cleveland, got up and finished the game. And believe it or not, the umpire behind home plate the day that Ray was electrocuted, Brick Owens. If you haven't watched that video, it's one of my favorite stories that I've researched. Now, back to that committee in 1991. The game would go down as a perfect game for Ernie until being reversed in 91. He was on the mound for all 27 outs, no walks, no hit by pitch, no errors. But the committee formally established the official definition of a perfect game. The guidelines require that no member of the opposing team reach base on a walk, error, hit batsman, catcher's interference call, or a third strike pass ball. Even though Ernie had no part in Ray Morgan reaching first, it's irrelevant. Instead, Ernie was credited with a combined no-hitter with Ruth. Shortly after this game, Ernie enlisted in the Navy and fought in World War I. When he returned, he was never quite as effective, just didn't have the same zip on his fastball. After baseball, he went into insurance and car sales. Both lines of work were tough businesses with the Depression. Nobody was buying cars, and Ernie eventually became sheriff of Forsyth County in North Carolina, and he held that job for 36 years. Ernie would spend his retirement in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and pass away at the age of 89 in 1980. Even though his perfect game was erased from the books, he will never be forgotten because of the unique nature of that no-hitter. It reminds me of another pitcher who will never be forgotten because of a unique circumstance. Who can forget Armando Galarraga and the perfect game that wasn't?
Ground ball, right side. Cabrera will cut it off. Galarraga covers. He's out. No, he's safe. He is safe. He is safe at first base. And here comes Jim Leyland. Oh, my goodness. Jim Joyce said he was safe at first base. You make the call. Cabrera, Galarraga.
Did he miss the base? He's out. Why is he safe?
He must have missed the base.
Are you kidding me? Why is he safe?
We'll see right here.
Why is he safe? Oh my goodness, Jim Joyce, no!
Oh, jeez Louise.
Oh my goodness.
What a travesty.
Poor Armando and poor Jim Joyce. Of course, umpire Joyce was distraught over that blown call, and he and Armando have built a friendship over the unfortunate event. But that's a story for another day. Thanks for your time. Take care.